Welcome to the Alliance Française of Washington. I'm Natasha Zawadzka, and today we are so excited to have Anina Bell and Sébastien Giannini here with us. Bonjour, welcome back.
Bonjour, 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 bonjour.
Welcome. Well, it's always exciting to have this wonderful, talented couple, but it's even more exciting today because it's literally exactly 2 years since they started doing this cooking demos for the Alliance Française of Washington. I remember the very first one was on April 17th, 2021. So congratulations to these 2 years of this really wonderful partnership. Since then, Anina Bell and Sébastien, they have done so many great recipes for us and with us, from beginner baguettes to le grand aioli, from farci niçois to turkey au vin, mousse au chocolat, les 13 desserts, the list goes on. And today we will be revisiting this really wonderful spring French Riviera recipe of branzini and also Kir Royale and the tapenade, olive tapenade. So I'm very excited. I actually went shopping last night. I have everything. I'm going to be cooking as well tonight, and I hope some of you are going to be cooking as well with us. It's great to see so many of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. So for those who may be here for the first time, Anina Bell is, she works in hospitality and she is a blogger. She's a home cook. She's enamored with the culture and cuisine of the south of France. That's where her husband is from, French chef Sébastien from Toulon, from the south of France, and they brought France with them here to DC, and with their blog, Le Chef's Wife, they've been sharing and channeling their love for France and for French joie de vivre to all of us. So I think with no further ado, I'm just gonna hand it over to you, Anina Bell and Sébastien, right?
Yes, and thank you so much, Natasha, for hosting us. I mean, when you reached out to us 2 years ago, I had never done a live cooking class. It was in the height of the pandemic. I think I was pregnant at the time, if not, had a brand new baby. And I thought, why not? And you really saw something that has grown to something even more. I mean, from these cooking classes with Alliance Française to other cooking classes that we've done, but they're not as good when we don't have you that is our master of ceremonies, because it's wonderful when you're able to bring the conversation along and ask the questions that people are asking. So I really appreciate working with you as well, Natasha. Merci beaucoup. So this has been a wonderful partnership, and to celebrate, you really wanted to do a recipe that is near and dear to our heart, which is the branzino with sauce vierge. Branzino is loup de mer in French, which is called sea wolf. But when you look at the fish, I don't have the full fish here, but it's really not a wolf at all. It's relatively small. These are branzino fillets or branzini. They're both the same. And you go to the fishmonger and you just ask for the fillets that are descaled and deboned. And that way it makes it much easier to deal with. If you're dealing with a whole branzino, you can absolutely do that as well if you're comfortable with filleting it. I'm not. He is. But also you can, branzino is really great for cooking whole as well. You can literally just slice it up the belly and then stuff it and put it in the oven. Cooking a whole fish is one of the easiest things in the world to do. And we love cooking fish. It reminds us of the south of France. And this recipe in particular is so great because the flavors of the vierge sauce, the fresh tomatoes, the capers, the shallots, the roasted pine nuts, the green onion, the chives, everything just marries together and it's so delicious. It's not even a sauce technically because it's not cooked. It's more like a Provençal salsa, but it's absolutely delicious. And I love to serve it on everything else. I'll serve it on chicken, I'll serve it on pasta. It's great on salmon. And then also to round out the menu today, we're doing olive tapenade totis. Totis are little toasts like this.
Totis is for the Provençal name.
Yes. Totis is Provençal. Sebastian's grandmother spoke Provençal, so it's very familiar and near to our heart, with a secret ingredient, which is Ricard, pastis. And it's just a great way to start off your dinner party or even an afternoon. So what we wanted to walk you through was, if you were hosting a French Riviera dinner party, these are elements that you could bring into your menu that are really simple and easy to do so that you spend less time in the kitchen and more time entertaining your guests. So we're gonna start with the tapenade. In order to start, I'm gonna first make the totis. So we're gonna take some fresh baguette. It's actually day-old baguette. this baguette is from Boulangerie Christophe. Boulangerie Christophe was voted best baguette in the United States 2 years in a row, and they happen to be in Georgetown. And it's absolutely wonderful. The crust on this baguette, I had the opportunity to learn how to make baguettes with Stéphane Battier, who is the master baker of Boulangerie Christophe. And it was such an eye-opening experience. If you want to make your own baguettes, I've got a great baguette recipe on lechefswife.com. And you can absolutely use your day-old baguettes from your homemade baguette recipe for these totis. Now, the secret that I use for totis is that I always rub them with a little bit of garlic. So first, thank you. Can you see the cutting board here? I'm going to move this down a little bit. There we go. So first, what you're going to do is you're going to rub the toast with the garlic clove. So you're going to slice the garlic clove in half, and then use the open side to just rub a little bit of garlic on top of the toast. This brings a lot of flavor to each bite. I'm just going to do one more, actually, I think. And then you're going to put some olive oil on the Aletta. Thank you. Aletta is on this call, and she makes these baguettes like almost every week, which I absolutely love. So Aletta can testify to the baguette recipe. It's a 2-hour baguette recipe that is the easiest thing in the world to do. And I have to say, so I took the time to really learn how to make not the 2-hour baguette recipe, and the difference in a domestic oven was not that huge. So between a 2-hour baguette and a 48-hour baguette, when you're using an electric oven, it's not very different, quite honestly. So stay with the recipe, Aletta. I'm so glad that you love them. So I'm going to put the toti in the oven for a few minutes. It's at 350. You can also put them under the broiler if you're keeping very close eye on them, because of course broilers go quickly. And while we do that, we're going to make the tapenade. So tapenade is everywhere in the south of France. And often if you order a drink in a bar on a Thursday evening, or any evening really, they will bring you tapenade to start as you order your drink. And it's just such a wonderful way to start to open your appetite. It's nice and salty and briny. So we're going to use garlic. So actually I'm going to half the recipe. Instead of using 6 cloves of garlic, I'm using 3 cloves of garlic here. Because this recipe makes a lot of tapenade. You're using 2 cups of olives normally. So I'm going to first slice I'm using my handy food processor. This is something interesting. We have a tiny little kitchen, so I don't have space for a lot of kitchen gadgets. I really have to use power tools that have multi-functions. I've had this KitchenAid little hand processor for years, 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I always use it for making so many things, really. I don't have a blender, so this is what I use. So I'm first going to use chop up the garlic. It's going to make a little bit of noise. Baby, I've got the best sous chef in the world. My husband, Sébastien, has been executive chef in some of the most prestigious hotels in the world. He was executive chef of the Four Seasons Hotel in Washington, D.C., executive chef of the St. Regis, the Watergate, also executive chef of the Fairmont Queen Elizabeth in Montreal, which is a 1,000-room hotel. He had 110 kitchen people. So I have been learning to cook with him for the past 18 years. And that's where the premise of Le Chef's Wife came up, is the tips and tricks that I picked up while cooking with him in our own little small kitchen and for our family. And that I realized that cooking wasn't that difficult if you know the right tips and if you take the time to read the recipe. And if it's a simple recipe, it's a lot of fun. So that's the premise behind Le Chef's Wife. So I'm going to add in the olives, and feel free to ask questions at any time as well. So I've got whole pitted Kalamata olives here. We're going to love having this tapenade on a warm evening. Merci chérie. And I'm also going to add in the capers. So I had 2 cups of whole olives, and you have, 2 tablespoons of capers. Thanks, babe. And I'm also going to add in 1 fillet of anchovies. I don't like too much anchovies. A little bit of anchovy brings an incredible amount of flavor to this dish. Attends, he just doubled up the anchovies on me. He loves anchovies. I don't love them as much. And we're gonna add lots of olive oil.
At the same time, I know that in the final product, there is no fish flavor at all. It's flavorful, right? But my husband, I didn't tell him, he doesn't like anchovies and he didn't taste them.
That's exactly it. It tastes more salty than anything else. And I'm also gonna add herbe de Provence. Now we make our own blend of herbe de Provence. What was blended, sorry, was the garlic. It was garlic that I blended first, and then you've got in here the olives and the capers and the olive oil and the anchovy, and I'm gonna add in herbe de Provence. We make our own blend that is with his grandmother's recipe that just smells, it smells like the south of France to me. But you can find herbe de Provence in the grocery store. It's gonna be available soon on my website, not yet, but it will be soon. You can find it in the grocery store. Just make sure to stay away from herbe de Provence that have lavender in it. That is an American version of herbe de Provence that does not exist in Provence. And I see it all the time here. They put lavender buds in herbe de Provence, I think to make it look authentic, but it doesn't taste as good. So really stay away from the lavender one.
Yeah, I almost went through my little bottle, which I got from you. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. I add it everywhere in so many recipes. I hope it will be available soon on your website. I will be the first one to get it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we're working on. We both have full-time jobs and 2 young kids that are under the age of 5. So it's always challenging to do all the things that we want to do. But we have fun. So that really took like 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Yeah.
2 minutes. Tu veux goûter, chérie?
Oui.
Tu me dis si c'est bon?
Très bon.
Très bon. He says very good.
Très bon. Very good.
This is what the tapenade looks like. So it's just very simple. It's the black olives that are mixed up, and I'm going to serve it
Very
into a bowl. I got one. And we're gonna have this all ready for the apéro. And then, if you can take the wooden board that's on the shelf.
Yes.
Thank you. And I love the garlicky, salty taste of this tapenade.
Look at that.
So if you're cooking along with us, make sure you're inviting friends over for dinner tonight. Thanks, babe.
Betty is asking, do you recommend mixing black and green olives for the tapenade or just the calamari?
I would do either green olive tapenade or black olive tapenade. It has different flavors. But the authentic tapenade is with black olives because Niçois olives are black and they're very little.
They are ripe, yeah.
However, they're difficult to find here and they're quite expensive to find here as well. So we use Kalamata olives for our olive tapenade. There you go. You have the olive tapenade that is all ready to go. So you just spoon a little bit onto each toti, which is nice and warm and crisp and yeah, delicious.
It's very fresh, you know, it's nice.
Je te donne ça?
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we are going to pass on to the fish. If you have any questions, let us know as we're going along. Done with this. Thank you. Tu veux parler du poisson?
Yes. We have a nice 4 fillets here. The first one, you know, as you can see, you know, we trim them along, you know, we take off the part of the belly to be sure it's nice and oblong. This one, they are the same, you know, but you can see, you know, the white part here of the belly, you know, we are going to trim this one. It's very, very simple. Just to regularize, you know, like that. Oh,
sorry.
Voilà. We just, you know, take the knife, always at the diagonal, you know, with the end here. You just take off, you know, the part. To be sure, you know, this part, you know, we take this off. Here, you want to have a nice shape. And after that, you see.
Is it just for decoration or because that part is not as good?
No, I think, you know, with the belly, sometimes you have leftover, you know, of the pie. You don't want to have that. I don't know if you can see this, you know, you don't want to have this part, you know, for sure. And after that, it's always more easy for you to take this with a nice spatula. when you have the nice pieces, you know, like that,
Great. Someone
yeah.
is asking, can you please show how you're holding the knife? Mrs.
Yes.
Powell is asking.
The knife, you know, the more important, it's never, you know, to put, you know, strength on it, you know, just, you know, on the right hand or left hand, you know, and it's always, you know, at the diagonal. Don't forget that the knife, you know, as far as it stays always parallel with your hands, you don't have any problem, you know, to try to cut yourself. When you have, you know, comment on dit la lame? The blade, you know, starting to go, you know, perpendicular, for example, you try to make manipulation, it's more dangerous for you. As far as it stays always parallel with your hand, you know, you never cut yourself. For example, here, we are going to make some nice incision, you know, and always the same, you know, like that. When you put this, be careful because you are going to put the blade between your two fingers, you know, always slowly, you know, slowly. You pinch the fish, and just like that, you have a nice small incision, you know, you see, like in a restaurant, you know, you pinch the fish, just up with the blade, very slowly. And voilà. One more time, you pinch the fish, and slowly. Now you have a nice incision, you know, it's very nice. We do the same with the other one. You pinch. Oh. You see? Very simple. Now we have this one, the first one, we trim. We do the same. You pinch. It's always.
It'll go skin up, right? In the oven.
Yes,
It'll go skin
up, you know. And don't put, you know, the blade, you know, inside the skin, you know, just stay parallel, you know, and it's very easy. You don't need to put a lot of strength, you know, even if your knife is not sharpened enough, you know, it's always enough, you know, because you don't put a lot of strength. It's always very simple. Now you have the nice fish with a nice incision. You can see. We can put a little bit of olive oil and fleur de sel. Before cooking, olive oil on the top.
His version of a little bit is not my version of a little bit.
Very from south of France.
That's the south of France.
It's the south of France. Fleur de sel on the skin.
Tu décales le plat pour
Oui.
Thank you.
Fleur de sel.
And show what the fleur de sel looks like.
Yes.
So this is from Camargue. We buy it in bulk, and it's a gray salt that is quite large in the grain here. You can see it like this, and it brings so much flavor to the dishes. So we use a lot of fleur de sel.
Why we don't put, you know, the salt, you know, on the meat directly is because we don't, you know, we don't want to put too much salt and too much pepper, you know. The meat, you know, of the brandy is very white. We keep this, you know, steamed on the oven. We call this étuvé au four. Simple as that. After that, you have some coloration, you know, on the skin. And when you have the sauce, you know, the vierge, you take off the skin if you want, you know, but you have the fish. It's very easy and fresh. Now that it's ready, we are going to put them in the oven at 350 for 12 minutes. That's it. Simple as that. They are here. We put them on the oven together. 12 minutes. Now this is the time to do the sauce vierge. The sauce vierge.
Je retourne le plateau?
Non, je vais. Ouais, si tu veux, oui, si tu peux.
So trick, if you're using a cutting board and you put meat on one side, you can flip it over on the other. But a very important trick whenever you are using a cutting board is to always secure your cutting board. So we always put either a torchon, which is a kitchen rag, underneath it, or these jar gaskets. You can buy these off of Amazon. They're called jar gaskets, and they're absolutely wonderful for securing your cutting board so that it doesn't move around.
Let's start, you know, with the shallot, you know, and the young onion. If you're not comfortable with the the chef knife, sorry, because it's too big. You can take, you know, something like that, you know, for the bread, but I think it's too long, you know, too big. You can take this one, it's very easy. We call this, you know, tomato knife, serrated small tomato knife, you know, and you can start like that, you know, it's okay.
So this is the sauce vierge
Yes.
that Sebastian is making. And it's really just an assembly of incredibly delicious fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
So this is the green onion that he's
Yes.
starting with.
Yes.
And it's 2 green onions that he will chop finely.
Mhm.
And again, think about
I'm sorry, just someone was asking just to be 100% sure. The fish is at 350, right? 350,
Yes.
12 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
350.
Okay, perfect.
and thank you for reminding me. I just set the timer. I would have forgotten. So thank you.
Now you have the young onion, you know, you are going to mix in a big bowl for the sauce vierge, you know, and you put each ingredient, you know, step by step. Young onion.
So you want to take the time to cut each ingredient about the same size, because of course this is going in a salsa together. It's not being-
Annabelle, can you tell us more about mise en place? I see some amazing mise en place right now. So maybe people would want to know.
Let me see here. I love seeing the photos of everybody cooking. Thank you. It's amazing. Mise en place is very important. Mise en place in French, it means you're set up, you're set in place. And it's one of the foundations of French cooking, of cooking in general. If you're working in a restaurant, you come in hours beforehand to set up your mise en place, which basically means that you set everything in its place so that you can access it easily and that you are not caught unawares in the middle of the dinner service or the lunch service.
If you have a strong mise en place, you always have a good service.
And if you don't,
If you don't, you wait for nothing at the restaurant.
means everybody waits. But I strongly believe in the art of the mise en place when I'm cooking at home as well, because I have 2 toddlers. Things don't always happen in the sequence that I think that they're going to happen, and I never turn on the heat in the oven or on the broiler before I have my mise en place complete. Because the worst thing is if you were to turn on the stove under a frying pan, you put in some onions, you're about to add in meat, and then something happens. The doorbell rings, a kid needs something, or you haven't chopped the next sequence of vegetables yet. So always make sure everything is prepared, and then you turn on the heat, and then you can have a successful cooking session. And with the mise en place here, we put everything into little glass bowls because we like the preparation of it. And then it's also really fun because we cook a lot with our kids in the kitchen, and they love taking the bowls and dumping them into the pot or whatever we're cooking with.
Now we have the nice shallots, young onion, you know, and chive, you know. It's all of the same size. It smells, you know, amazing. And when you see this base, you know, one very important thing is that the sauce vierge is never served hot or warm. It's room temperature. You know, I never do that wherever around the world, you know, in a sauce vierge, it's never served hot because it's a fresh chives, fresh shallots, fresh onion, fresh tomatoes, the olive, the capers. You want this room temperature because it gives you this freshness. The fact that the shallots, you know, is raw, but we are going to put, you know, some lemon juice and some olive oil. You are going to take off, you know, this bitterness. This is why we don't need, you know, to have this one. Never. The capers now. Oh.
Tu veux que je retire les noix de thym sur un
Si tu veux. Hein. The olives, you know, we cut the olives. Let me show you. You know, we mix, you know, but we are going to put a little bit more.
So I'm actually going to do something that we could have done to start off with. Thank you. I'm going to roast the pine nuts. So this really just takes a few minutes, 5 minutes, but I'm going to add the pine nuts here to a sizzling platter. These sizzling platters are the best. These are linked on my blog. They're stainless steel, and you can put them, and they don't bend or warp.
Yes.
And I'm going to put the pine nuts just like this with no olive oil, nothing, directly in the oven. So they get that nice caramel, toasty flavor to them. So now Sebastian is chopping up the olives in small
cut in half,
pieces.
and after, you know, in 6. Very easy.
olives. The olives that we're using are these ones that we found at Giant. Just look for Kalamata pitted olives if you don't want to spend the time pitting them, because that's a pain. Takes forever.
Why is the Kalamata olive? Because it's not, too much bitter. It's very fresh, and they always, ripen up. And the sauce vierge, it's a good add, a very nice one. Now the tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, the small one that we cut in four. We are going to show you this one. Oh, voila. Just a smaller one, very nice.
If you're using larger tomatoes, you can just cut them up in more pieces, but it's important to use a ripe tomato. If you've got a white tomato, it's not very tasty. Sauce vierge is an incredible summer dish. If you're able to get fresh farmers market tomatoes, they're amazing.
Yes, and sometimes we say it's not the season of the tomato, but all of the fruit and the vegetable, it's the season everywhere around the world at this time. It's the right time, it's for sure.
Yeah, it's a season somewhere, right? And do you grow anything in your garden?
Yes.
We do. So we have, we grow primarily herbs because we don't have a very big garden. Actually, if you read the Washington Post on May 4th, there will be an article that comes out that shows our herb garden and shows our kitchen. And the fact that we have a small kitchen and a small garden, and yet what we prioritize in terms of really good flavors and ingredients to cook with. So,
wow, congratulations. I can't wait to see the article. This is really great news.
Us too. Thank you very much. It's very exciting.
You said May 4th, right? May 4th?
In the local news section of the Washington Post, there will be a full article about our kitchen and how we cook in our kitchen, and the fact that we don't restrain ourselves by the fact that we have a small kitchen. We still cook for Michelin star chefs. We still invite people over and have an active foodie lifestyle, I imagine.
Yes.
Even though we have a small kitchen with no pantry and no garage to stock things in. I've never been to Costco in the United States, to be honest. Not because I don't want to go to Costco, but just because I have absolutely nowhere that I could stock a big tub of goldfish. So we have little bags of goldfish for our kids.
For the herbs, for the basil, comparatively to the young onion, or the shallots, it's always better to have the chef knife because you put a little bit more pressure and you don't shred it, the leaves. It's very important. With a bread knife or a tomato knife, you have this problem.
So I don't know if you noticed, he actually rolled the basil up together to create like this little packet. And then he's slicing it lengthwise. So it creates, it's called chiffonade is the French term for it. And it creates for herb slices that look like this, that are really nice to eat and thin.
Very thin. Very thin.
Smells so
Back
good.
on the tomatoes, someone is asking if you can substitute cherry tomatoes with Roma tomatoes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just cut them in smaller pieces. And chiffonade is CHIFFONADE. It's like chiffon, like the material chiffon.
Now we are going to mix, everything,
So as you can see, this is something that's really simple to do. If you have friends over, you can make this sauce in advance and let it sit out on the counter for an hour. It'll be even better in an hour.
Yes.
That it lets it.
But not for too long either, because it has onions, right? So not like overnight, I guess.
No, not overnight, but
for 2 hours, yeah.
For a few hours, it's perfect. You can prep in advance for your dinner party.
Now you have the nice smell of the pine nuts. Very nice.
It smells so good. Attention, tu dois. Oh, he never gets a pot holder when he's.
Pine nuts are very hot, but all of the prep, it's very cold. This
He
is
doesn't
why
feel anything.
the difference of the temperature, it's okay.
And the pine nuts will add a delicious crunch and richness to this dish as well, which is lovely.
Now that we have, here, the nice.
So he's going to squeeze some lemon into the vierge sauce.
Yeah. You keep the lemon because we are going to use, you know, the skin.
But I would definitely caution about putting too many herbs in this sauce. And I think that that's something that often, I see you, Natasha. I think that's something that often, as North Americans, we tend to want to add more herbs or add more spices. But I think that,
Le surface up.
comment est-ce qu'on dit retenu?
Retenu.
I don't know how to say retenu in English, Natasha.
Like
Holding yourself back a little
hold
bit
back, right?
more, is actually really useful in French cooking. And each of these flavors is perfectly balanced together, and you'll see. And then once you've tried it with just basil, then feel free to experiment and try other things. But
you keep the lemon, you know, we use everything, the skin.
Yeah. So lemon zest, if you don't have a microplane zester in your kitchen, I highly recommend getting one. We have several. This is a little microplane. This is amazing for adding zest. We use lemon zest and orange zest on everything. There's my timer. Ooh, looks good.
Yes.
Show what this looks like here. Think they're ready?
Yes.
So the flesh is beautifully white and opaque. Tu veux montrer?
Oui.
I have a question to a chef. I
Yes.
always have this temptation of like stick a knife in and kind of ruin a little bit the presentation, but just to make sure if it's done. So do I have to se retenir? Do I have to hold back on that?
Yeah, no, yeah, because in this case, you know, it's cooked, you know, and what you can do, what is interesting is that when you have some guests and you are 4 or 6, when you use, you know, this cooking pan, you know, we put a little bit more of olive oil. Let me show you. I'm going to put this here, look, on the board. You remember that we put a little bit more of oil? Can you see on the camera here or no?
Yes,
You
now we can
see
see. Mhm.
We put a little bit more oil and you see the incision on the fish, you know. Don't forget that this is a very hot olive oil. What you can do, you know, very slowly, you are going to put the oil, you know, in each pan, you know, on the fish, in the incision, to be sure it gives you a nice taste, you know. And when you do this, you know, with one pan, you know, like that, you are going to do this with the other pan, you know, and with more oil, you know. Look, you see?
So he's pouring the olive oil from the bottom of the pan into the
Voilà.
incisions that are in the fish, and that's going to continue to cook it.
Yeah.
But you can see, I feel comfortable about this fish because you see that the,
Yeah. Attention, c'est chaud.
you see that the flesh here is white and opaque. And so if it was translucent still, then you would put it back in the oven for a few more minutes. Remember that every fillet is a different size. So your fillets, if they're thicker, then you'll want to add a few more minutes. But as soon as the meat is opaque, then you're good to go.
Thank you very much. We have one more question. Oh, no, mind.
Yes, yes, tell me.
No, just someone agreeing that rosemary would be a bit overpowering for the sauce vierge. So that's to piggyback on the question about not overwhelming your salad or sauce vierge with.
And don't forget that the rosemary, unfortunately, especially, you know, when it's dry, you know, and when you use the real one, it's kind of some pine like that, you know.
It's spiky.
And it stay, you know, in the teeth, you know. This is why.
But I think we're hitting on something that is actually really interesting that I address a fair bit in the blog as well, is that French cooking is so simple. It doesn't require a lot of ingredients. It doesn't require a lot of spices. There's really just a handful of herbs that we use. There's a handful of spices. I mean, all of our spices fit.
The technique.
I'm gonna show you. You guys see how our call notes here. But this is basically our spice selection here. And all the spices that we need, we fit in these little bonne maman jars, and we have just one cabinet that we can fit them in. I don't have a spice drawer with 100 jars in it.
You need to eat a lot of jam before to have all of this.
You need to eat a lot of jam. Yeah, beaucoup de confiture. I like that. I don't have nothing against.
A lot of bread and a lot of butter too.
But I think that it's definitely a guiding thread in French cooking, is less is more, except when it comes to butter and olive oil. But it's more about bringing forward the flavor of the ingredients that you're using. And many other cuisines, you add a lot of spices and it's amazing. I mean, but especially with French Riviera cuisine, that is very centered on the product and is more healthful, and you don't have to do a lot to change an already incredible product. If you're using good branzino,
Oranges.
you've got all you need.
One more question. If you had sliced almonds instead of pine nuts, could you use them?
Yes,
Yes, you can.
it's
You
not
can.
the same flavor,
Don't
but
forget
you can
to,
use them.
yeah, don't forget to roast, to roast them, because it's add, something. Now we have a nice sauce vierge. It smells
It
very
smells so
fresh
good.
and amazing. We can put olive oil.
So as you can see, it's really bright in color, and everything is in small bite-sized pieces so that we can pour this over the fish. And it smells like summer. It's the orange zest and the lemon zest that really add to the dish as well. So he's adding a little bit more olive oil.
You need olive oil on the sauce vierge. So,
A lot of olive oil.
Voilà. This is nice. A real sauce vierge.
Yeah, it reminds us of living in the south of France, of course. So
I think we have
Sebastian,
this question a lot. I'm so sorry. Michelin is asking, what's the brand of oil or olive oil you're using?
so this
From
one
Italy.
here is Olive Nostre, which we absolutely love. We use a lot of it. We also have a finishing olive. I mean, this is a finishing olive oil, but we also have this olive oil that I absolutely love is Aliziari from Nice, which is incredible olive oil. And then we also have Chateau d'Estoublon, which is from Provence, which is Piccioline olive oil. It's the smallest little olives,
Yes.
and that is amazing just on bread. I would eat that with a spoon. Very special olive oils.
Now that you have, your wonderful fillet, you can look at them, they are very nice. You can put a little bit more olive oil, it's very nice. Look at that.
I'm with you, Aletta.
Look at that.
Mm.
Extra virgin olive oil, yes. Alziari, extra virgin olive oil, it's a very nice one. First pressure, it's always better when the olives, they are very ripe. The fact that in the north of Italy, Italy close to the French border, and in France, especially, like Lorgues and in the Var region where I live, we have a lot of restaurants, and the restaurant is that we have the olive tree. More it's high, better the olives they are ripe because they are close to the sun. This is why, we always wait, more to have them, and it's amazing. Now let me show you. If you want to be sure that your fish is cooked, let's say, you are just going, to take the skin off, it's very easy. It's never lie. When you can take the skin off the fish, it's cooked perfectly. We didn't touch, we do this together. You take this, for example, on this one, and you see, it came, alone. This is cooked perfectly. Very nice, very good.
But you don't need to take the skin off branzino.
Yes,
Branzino is really delicious to eat it with the skin
Yes.
on.
Let's put, now, the nice fish on the plate, Sorry, look at that. Very easily. You can put, a small, rags or a small, paper towel if you want, to dry a little bit, the branzino. Up, very nicely, tac, 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 up, et on y va.
What's the purpose of doing that?
Just, to dry a little bit to be sure it's nice on the plate,
Ah,
It's
restaurant tricks.
restaurant tricks. Let me try the branzino for you to see if it's very good. I can confirm it's very good.
Sebastian's favorite food is fish.
Yes. All right. You see how it's nice and a nice presentation? Now you have the sauce vierge, you see, and you have the vegetation juice of the tomatoes, the lemon juice, you know. When you have this, look, it's very juicy, very nice. You can put this, you know, along, you know, the fish. Look at that. You can serve this on the side, you know. Voilà.
I like lots of sauce on mine.
Normally, we serve this in south of France with a some puree on the side that we call parmentière, potatoes puree that we crush, you know, with a fork, olive oil, fleur de sel, some parsley, and it's amazing. Now that you have the fish, you know, like that, it's very simple and very good. Look at that, how it's fresh. And you have some vegetation juice, you know, over there, little bit of the bread. Voilà.
C'est bon.
Wow, looks
Okay.
amazing.
We have our late lunch ready. Now, any questions on the branzino and sauce vierge? Before we move on to my favorite part of the cooking demonstration.
I received questions before the demo. I myself adopted this recipe for now, 2 years ago, and I never really cooked it before, and people were asking, where do you get this fish? So I can tell that you can get it anywhere. You can get it at the Whole Foods, you can get it at the fish market. It's really very, how to say, easy to find. It's not something rare or anything. Something
Very
I didn't
true.
know myself. Mhm.
Yeah, you would think that it's a little bit more difficult to find. It's not, and it's actually, it's so healthy. It's just white flesh, and it's very delicate in flavor. So if you're someone who doesn't like a really strong fishy taste, branzino is amazing. It's very delicate flavor.
Yes.
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 You can also use this sauce on salmon. You can use this sauce on shrimp. You can use this sauce on pasta. It's really versatile as well. Chicken, I've done it on chicken as well. Yeah, I absolutely love this sauce.
What's the oven temperature for roasting pineapples?
350 as well.
350.
350.
Yes. And the time, you know, we talk together and we make, you know, the sauce vierge, you know, the branzine, you know, is cooked, and after you serve this, it's very, you know, bella vita, you know, la joie de vivre.
And it's something you can invite your guests into the kitchen, and you're finishing up the sauce vierge, or you're cooking the branzino while you're talking to your guests. And that's really nice, is that it's not a very high pressure.
Drink a piscine pêche.
A piscine pêche, yes, or a Kir Royal.
Kir Royal, yes. Kir Royal, yes.
Piscine pêche is another cocktail. I have that recipe on the blog as well, lechefswife.com. You can find piscine pêche. It is champagne with peach puree. That is a famous cocktail from Saint-Tropez.
And rosemary, you know.
Yes, that we absolutely love. So, Kir Royal. Je vais me décaler ici.
Yes.
Okay. Kir Royal is a celebratory drink. There's a kir, which is just white wine and creme de cassis, and then there is Kir Royal, which is champagne and creme de cassis. I don't know if you've looked at the prices of champagne recently, but I have, so I went and got a Domaine Champenoise. This is actually Domaine Carneros by Tétanger. Tétanger is a French champagne house. For a little story, the first hotel job that I ever worked for in the south of France, in Nice, was Le Palais de Méditerranée, and it was owned by the Tétanger family. So anytime I see Tétanger, I'm drawn to it because that's how I launched my hotel career, and it's what kept me in the south of France. Thank you, Aletta. Appreciate it. So the blog is lechefswife.com. There are over 120 French recipes on the blog that I have taken the time to write down from my husband's muscle memory, basically. He will cook a recipe. He doesn't follow recipes. He knows them by heart. It's muscle memory for him. And I take the time to write down every single step so that someone that has no culinary training and leads a busy life like we do can find success in the kitchen by just going on lechefswife.com and finding these recipes. So that's what I love to do. So we're gonna make Kir Royale. So I use a crème de cassis de Dijon. I just got this at ABC Liquor here in Virginia. It is with cassis or red currant liqueur. You can also use currant syrup if you have currant syrup instead, or black currant, sorry. And you would add 1 tablespoon of the crème de cassis to the bottom of each glass. I'm just gonna eyeball it because I love this crème de cassis.
I would really recommend investing in crème de cassis. It's so good.
It's so good. I mean, and we use this. I also really like crème de cassis for another reason. If anyone ever gives you a bottle of subpar white wine, meaning you would not want to drink it, add some crème de cassis to it, and it's absolutely delightful. Especially.
Yes. I just tried the nice tapenade, and I was thinking about one of our guests asked if we can do that, with the green olives. Don't forget that if you do this with the green olives, just try to find the right balance, with a capper, because it's bring more acidity. The green olive, it's more acid. The capper, is the same. This is why just, find the right balance to be sure to have too much strong taste on it. I was thinking about that. Try this. Oops.
Do you know there's 120 pounds of pressure in a champagne bottle? So always keep your hand on top of the cork. This is Brut champagne. It's really important to use a dry bubbly when you're making Kir Royale, because the crème de cassis is already sugary, so you don't want to add too much sugar to it. And then we're just going to pour ourselves a nice glass, and that's as simple as that. So about 5 ounces of bubbles to 1 tablespoon of crème de cassis.
Okay, so we have a bunch of questions here. Let's see. Yeah. So first of all, where do you find your wine glasses?
So these are shot that are crystal.
Scotch Weiser.
Yes, but they're actually very durable.
Yes.
So contrary to Riedel glasses that you can't put in the dishwasher, you put these in the dishwasher every single day.
Yes.
And we've had these glasses for 8 years. Yeah. We got them when we moved to DC.
Yeah.
So we've had them for 8 years.
The brand, please?
It's Schott Weissel. So SCHOTT, and then ZWIESEL.
In fact, because we have a small kitchen, we like to have the conic, form, of it, because you can serve, red, white, champagne. It always helps to develop the flavor. It doesn't matter if.
To be very honest, we do not have space to house champagne glasses, red wine glasses, white wine glasses, even if we would love to do that. Yes. So we have one cupboard that we have all our wine glasses in. That's these, and we use them for everything.
I don't know how much pressure on this, but I'm going to put pressure on that.
But this is a glass to Natasha and to Alliance Française and our partnership, and to everyone that's here. Thank you for being here. We're so grateful. You've really sparked a creative spark in us, really.
Yes, we are very happy to do this with you and for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes. Yes, but any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, so let me just finish up, okay, with some technical ones. So Janine was asking if you removed the skin from all the fish. You did not, because you say it's very good.
Yes, and but some of the guests, if you don't like the skin, you take it off, but after, the cooking part, because it's more easy, and it's very simple.
You can also flip the fish over. I like to have I don't personally love to eat the skin, so I would flip the fish over so the skin is on the bottom of the plate, the flesh is on top, and then I put the vierge sauce on top.
And don't forget that on the branzini, the skin is not thick enough, like the rockfish or the salmon,
Yeah.
It's very thin, and it's always good, the shrimp sometimes with the shell for glucosamine, it's always good, it's a natural thing.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I feel transported already to the south of France. Can't wait to cook it myself for dinner. Well, we still have a bit of a time. I really want you to talk a little bit about so Annie-Nabelle and Sébastien, they started this cooking demos 2 years ago. And since then, they went on to be on first a local TV, DC, Fox 5 DC. And
Yes.
then they recently appeared on Today Show. So I just want to ask you about your experience on the national TV. How was it? What did it bring to you? How was the actual set? How, just everything.
It was absolutely surreal. I mean, Natasha, it was absolutely surreal. You arrived there. I mean, they had black car waiting for us at the train station that had our name on it, and they bring you right to the station or to the TV station, and you have to go through several levels of high security. And then when you get to the Today Show set, and we had a dressing room that had our name on it.
Yes, it was nice.
And you know, Carson Daly is there saying hello, and Hoda and Samantha. It was really incredible. And walking on the Today Show set and seeing 100 cameras and 1,000 lights is very different than speaking to your iPad in your kitchen.
Yeah.
But we loved it. What shocked us is that we didn't have to do any preparation. We didn't have to do any cooking. There is a culinary stylist and a food and a chef there that prepare our recipes.
Yes.
So we submitted our recipes. We walked through it with them and gave them some pointers and things to look out for, and they created the recipes for us. So we really just had to show up as ourselves, and they had everything laid out for us.
Was it good? Did they do a good job?
The moelleux was a touch overcooked. But what was really cool is, they did an amazing job. But what was really cool is that they had a solution for the moelleux being a touch overcooked. And she was able to use Hershey's chocolate syrup to add the fondant inside to the moelleux chocolat, so that it looked as if it was cooked perfectly, that you dug your spoon into it and it just oozed out. And that's what's the magic of TV, right? There's a solution for everything. And that's, I think, what makes them so exceptional at what they do, is that they're able to roll with it. And this live TV, you walk out there, and I'll never forget people on the Today Show Plaza waving at us. I'm like, no, I'm not Giada, no. But they're so excited to see you. They've been waiting in hours outside to see who's showing up on the Today Show. So it was really a surreal experience.
Yes.
I think for our daughter, it was really something special too, because she wasn't there, of course. But in her class, she's known as the kid now who has parents that do French cooking in New York. And
yes, they show us in school, you know.
Yeah, the teacher showed on the iPad to the class that we did our cooking demonstration, and she was just incredibly proud. And that's, you know, she's growing up in this environment where we're cooking live from our kitchen, and we make beautiful food together. And when the Washington Post was here taking photos, she rolled out a perfect baguette by herself. She's 5 years old. She's like, oh, I know what to do, and was rolling out the baguette. It was, she's gonna be better than either of us.
Yes.
It's surreal.
I am very proud of that.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, yeah, very, very happy for you. Congratulations. And actually, if you want to watch the program, it's on the website. It's on lowchefswife.com, so you can go there and watch it. Just one more question about the fish, because I saw it coming in the chat, actually, a couple of questions. So if you don't have branzini, can you substitute it with like red snapper or halibu or bass?
Yeah, this recipe village sauce works on any fish. It would be amazing on skate. It would be amazing on salmon. It would be amazing on anything.
Just, the cooking time will be different because, for example, red snapper, it's more longer, depending the size of the fillet. Halibut, if it's 6 ounces, it will be almost, the same time, for sure. After, depending of the size of the fillet, just look at your temperature. The best tips, to see if it's cooked is that you can take off the skin, to try, and it will never lie, for sure.
Great, thank you for this tip.
That means that it's cooked properly.
Perfect. Okay, I'll absolutely use it tonight. And one last question: is your cooktop induction? I guess they're saying that. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Absolutely, and we will never go back. We really, really love the induction for several reasons. So this is a GE profile that we got at Home Depot, I think.
Yes, yes, because we have.
And I love the fact that it doesn't heat up. So if you have a pot on there and it's boiling, my daughter can touch right next to the pot and her hand would not get hot.
And it goes so quick, when you want to boil water, make a sauce, you can control the temperature, to play, with the 1 to 10, And it's very nice to cook.
And we can use all of our Le Creuset pots on induction. So if you think that you wouldn't be able to use a stainless steel or a Dutch oven on induction, you can. And what I love too is that induction doesn't burn your pans. When you cook on a gas top, you can't use Mauviel or Le Creuset because it would mark it.
But even more than that is that when you are in a small kitchen like that, all of the time, you know, and this is what I found, you know, very not, you know, a commodity or dangerous sometimes, is that the fan you have on the top of the oven, you know, it's not strong enough, you know, for a big, you know, a gas with a 6 pilot, you know, it's not strong enough, you know. This is why you always have the smell, you know, it's always complicated and not comfortable to cook for 2 hours, you know, of the gas. This is why this.
When you're using a gas oven in a restaurant, you have an industrial strength hood that takes off all the fumes. But in a small kitchen like this is a microwave that basically has the power of a hairdryer. So it's not
a very small one.
It's not the same thing. In a professional restaurant kitchen, if you have a professional hood, then that's a totally other thing. But we're more comfortable with the induction in our home.
Yes.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much. Enjoy your late lunch. Thank you everyone for joining. It has been recorded, so I will put it up on our YouTube channel, and I will send the link to everyone. Again, the website is lechefswife.com. You can check out all the recipes right there. And again, thank you, Annie-Annabelle and Sébastien. We hope to see you again. We hope to see you in person sometime. We've been planning this, so hopefully sometime, maybe à la rentrée in September, Annie-Annabelle and Sébastien will be at Alliance, which will be very exciting to see them in person finally. And congratulations again on the upcoming Washington Post article and just on everything going on in your lives. And thank you so much for always finding time for the Alliance Française.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Bon week-end à vous tous et à la prochaine.
Bye.
À la prochaine.